service readiness, what is it? Why is it important? Well, it's the act of having received the service training and having access to the service information, the tools, and the parts that are necessary to perform any diagnosis, any repair, any adjustment that might be required to support a product, but most importantly, in advance of the time that that product arrives. So if you're not prepared, if you don't have access to the information and the tools, you can't call yourself service ready. And from an automaker's perspective, service readiness is one of the most important functions of service technology groups and automakers. And the preparations for retail sale of the vehicles that we sell begin more than a year, sometimes well more than a year in advance of the day of the first sale of those vehicles. So that when a vehicle first arrives on a car dealer's lot to be sold, the technicians have to be equipped with the knowledge, the information, the software, and the tools to perform any action that might be required to support that vehicle. Car might roll off a transport and has to be fixed immediately. You have to be service ready for that vehicle and for that customer. So we've kind of developed this model at Toyota of what we're calling 360 degrees service support. So, what are the real keys to successful auto repair in the 21st century and a 21st century business model? And based on Toyota's experience, it all boils down to ensuring that every technician who's going to perform any particular type of a repair, and different technicians do different repairs, so there's different levels of service readiness depending on what you do. But every technician that's going to perform any particular type of repair has to be service ready to perform that repair. The key elements of service readiness begin with developing technicians who have the knowledge and the skills to use the service support resources that we provide. This means that they already have the training and product knowledge to use their resources and to expedite an accurate repair. Again, before the customer arrives for service. Today, there are virtually no diagnostics on a late model car. There's no repairs that can be performed without a factory equivalent scan tool, factory equivalent information, and every day the number of vehicles that have things that aren't in alignment with that rule are getting fewer and fewer. So considering the complexity of some repairs and the lack of frequency of many repairs. So a lot of repairs are really complex these days, and it's not like you do them every day, and this is especially true in an independent shop environment. And with the pressure to fix cars fast and considering access to technical support is often the difference between fixing it right the first time and making a profit on a repair, I think it's important to understand that service readiness is not achieved with service information alone. We all have to understand that vehicles are too complicated today to attempt to diagnose and repair them without all of the appropriate resources. And finally, technicians can't succeed without a commitment to 100% service readiness for vehicles that their customers expect them to support. So if you look at that 360-degree model there, you got to understand the product. It's training and product knowledge. You got to have access to the right information. You got to have access to the right tools. You need to have access to some sort of a technical assistance support system. You need to have access to factory service parts or just the right service parts for that matter. And probably most important, because cars change so quickly today, you must have the commitment to grow and learn, as everybody here does, or else you wouldn't be here. So just quickly going through some of the things that we have learned through survey in the Service Technology Program Committee. In 2011, in cooperation with IDC Manufacturing Insights, we conducted a service readiness survey of approximately 1,600 service technicians, about 1,200 working in dealerships, and the balance were working in independent repair facilities. The portion of the survey that's indicated on this particular slide was focused on technicians' experience servicing hybrid and advanced technology vehicles, and it attempted to reveal the gaps between current business models and real-world necessities to fix a car right the first time. This slide describes a high-level overview of the service readiness results. So when one looks, so normally this slide is animated, but what we looked at was technicians faced with a service event that he or she is not familiar with and that needs to be researched at the time of repair. You know, what's the frequency of that? The shop does not have access to adequate, up-to-date information or training. What's the frequency of that? And the other major question here, shop does not have a scan tool capability capable of supporting a needed function. We also looked at whether a shop had a tool, but because they only had one or two and there's a bunch of techs that needed that tool, you know, was the tool there when the technician needed it? The shop has the tool, but the technician needed to research the information and how to use it. And essentially what we found was that in general, independent techs often lack a scan tool that they need, or they lack the information or training that they need. In the dealership world, they got the scan tool, but they're waiting in line to use it, so they lose productivity. So the bottom line of this particular slide is that we're not service ready in our dealers, and we're not service ready in our independent shops, and we're a little less service ready in our independent shops today. This slide depicts another service readiness issue associated with current business models and scan tool access. Automakers generally require franchise dealers to purchase and maintain all of the tools necessary to be service ready. The requirement, however, is rarely scalable to the size of the dealership, as a result, some dealers don't invest in enough tool and equipment to support their whole dealership. They essentially shoot themselves in the foot. They don't want to spend any money up front, but it costs them a lot of money by not spending that money up front. So I won't go into a great deal of detail here, but the bottom line is we have service readiness issues everywhere. And it's not rocket science to figure out what it is we need to do about it. We just need to do it.